When it comes to the oils in particular, we got to know what we're putting in our body, and we have to do our proper research, and we have to even experiment and understand what's happening when we put these different types of things in our body. Now, I did want to mention the oils that you should be putting in your body. I would look at C8 MCT oil is my top pick of an oil by far. It processes differently in your body. It offers energy. It goes right to the brain, so it gives you brain power, mental clarity, cognitive function. You don't have to believe what I say. You should question everything. You should question what they say on the news. You should question what these big organizations say. You should question what your experts say and go find other research that either backs that up or doesn't. And then maybe you have a different mindset or you have a different experience with your own body.
Welcome to Exploring Mind and Body with Drew Tadia. Drew is an expert in nutrition, fitness, lifestyle, and more. And he wants to help you live a healthier, longer, and more active life. Now here's your host, Drew Tadia.
Welcome to another edition of nationally syndicated Exploring Mind and Body. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for tuning in and being a part of our True Form Life community, whether you're listening on terrestrial radio, across the world now, or as a podcast. We so much appreciate you tuning in, regardless of what you're doing. We know your time is valuable, so thanks again for joining us here. Today, we got a solo show. I'm going to be talking about the oils you should be avoiding, and it's a deep subject. It's complicated. People get angry and frustrated because they feel like they've been lied to. It's a whole thing, but I'm going to try to raise some awareness around that for you. I'm going to help you try to understand what's going on in some of the industries, what certain oils do to our body, and that's what we have going on today. But before we jump into that, I'm going to give you a quick clip. I just threw this up on TikTok, so you guys can follow us on TikTok. We're all over social media, Facebook, facebook.com/trueformlife, Instagram.com/TrueTaddy. We're all over. But in particular, I threw this up on TikTok. It got quite a bit of views. Then I put it up in one of my groups, and we had a whole conversation about it on Facebook. So I wanted to share that with you, and I thought it was worth sharing it with our radio and podcast audience as well, in case you don't know too much about oils or if you need to learn more about it, because I feel like it's a very, very shady industry. But we're going to play that clip for you right now.
All right, let's go with 3 oils you want to avoid in 30 seconds or less. The first one is canola oil. It's a GMO crop. Also comes in a clear plastic container at the grocery store, which means it's rancid before you even purchase it. Number 2 is palm oil. Palm oil is not only bad for the environment, but it's also processed so highly it causes inflammation in our body. And the third one is sunflower oil or safflower oil. They sound like they are good quality oils, but they are not. Follow for more tips, and don't forget to hit that heart button.
All right, so there it is. That's the basis of the show. These are the oils that you should probably be avoiding if you want to avoid inflammation and chronic pain. That's what this whole show is going to be about, what oils are doing to our bodies, what oils you should be avoiding. So we got a jam-packed show ready for you. So sit back and enjoy. We got all that coming up on...
This is Exploring Mind and Body. Naturally improve your lifestyle one show at a time with your host, Drew Tadia.
All right, so the truth of the matter is, when you share a topic that people don't really know about, or let's say a controversial topic that people, let's say a controversial topic that is less than the norm or different than what everyone believes, people get very upset. And I can understand this. I can understand that the issue is that we feel like we've been lied to, and most people really don't like to be lied to, which is another subject, but I feel like there's a whole lot of people that don't exactly tell the truth. But that's the issue, is that we have broken relationships, broken friendships, or we got different difficulties with family members, and again, maybe it's something for a different show. But if you're going to be lied to, or if you're going to be lied to, you feel hurt and like you're harmed, and there's a big issue with that. And if you're going to continue to tell lies to other people, you're going to have issues in many different ways. I feel like we have to lead with the truth in every regard. That's why we're called True Form Life. We got to be true to ourselves, and we got to be true to other people as well. But that's the biggest issue here, is that when it comes to oils, not only does the industry change, like we come out with different scientific evidence or research of different products, but the problem is that we have been lied to. And that usually comes from big industries, like huge conglomerates that have billions of dollars, and they can say what they want, they can do what they want, and then because they have enough money to go to court or sit in court for years, like pharmaceuticals, for example, before they develop a product, or before they bring a product to market, they have a budget, like they set aside a certain amount of money, so they budget for lawyer fees, because they know there's a good opportunity that they could be sued. And maybe that's going down a different rabbit hole, but if anyone is interested in doing research of what pharmaceuticals have done and how much money they've spent in legal fees to push things under the rug, or simply to pay out people that have been harmed. I listened to this clip this morning, actually, of supplements that have harmed people, and like natural supplements, and then pharmaceuticals that have actually caused death. And it is absolutely mind-boggling. I think it's something like 3 to 6 times the amount of people that have been seriously harmed or died from pharmaceuticals. And then you look at natural types of supplements, and then the word natural type of supplements is quite an umbrella term, because I feel like we develop our own products because we believe that the supplement industry is bombarded with toxins, and we want to provide proper quality types of different whatever supplement it is that we have coming out. We believe in 100% transparency, 100% clean ingredients. And that's not the norm in the supplement industry. All I'm saying here is that people are terrified. Like, we get a lot of people that write in and say, hey, can my kid take greens? Can my kid take magnesium? Can my kid take protein powder? And I'm thinking, of course they can. But the other aspect is that if you look at the processed foods that they're putting in their body, like on one of our pages on Facebook, we have that's directly dedicated to nutrition. And I put up a post about goldfish. And how we're feeding our kid these goldfish, and I put up a picture of the ingredients, and I was like, look, I don't even like to post stuff about kids and for parents, because parents get irate, like they lose their minds when you say anything about parenting or kids that they don't agree with. So I don't really like to go down that path very often, but I see it all the time. And I feel like it's worth mentioning once in a while to be like, hey, you should pay attention to what your kids are eating, or the ingredients that you're feeding your kids. Like, we have that responsibility as adults. But then that's the thing, right? That's the whole purpose of, or what I'm talking about here at the beginning of this show, is that parents get really upset because they feel like they've been lied to. Like, why, if you have a cartoon, with a bird, Toucan Sam, you know who I'm talking about, with a colorful beak telling you to eat their cereal, then the parents are like, well, that's on mainstream TV and it's in every grocery store. Why isn't it safe for my kids to eat? Or why can't I give it to my kids to eat? And I'm saying don't give it to them. And they're getting upset at me, and I'm not the one that's been lying to them for most of their life. Same thing with, you got, Tony the Tiger? Is that his name? Tony the Tiger telling the kids to eat Frosted Flakes. Oh my gosh, I haven't even thought about that name. That's what we grew up with. You got Frosted Flakes, and they had it themselves, like I have. They feed it to their kids, like I never would, never will. And then then someone tells them, hey, that's not clean. You shouldn't be having those types of foods. And then they get upset at me for telling them the truth. So at any rate, what I'm telling you here is that when it comes to fats, it's no different. So we just had this conversation. So I posted the 3 different types of fats that I'm telling you that you should avoid. Now, if you look at the top one, for me, it's like vegetable oil is also an umbrella term. Vegetable oil is like cotton oil, palm oil, grapeseed oil, sapphire oil, sunflower oil. I don't have these written down. I'm just winging it here. But there's tons and tons of vegetable oils you should be avoiding. canola oil is my top one to avoid because it's a GMO crop. I'm highly against genetically modified foods or organisms or food-like substances. There's tons and tons of research that's come out about why you should be avoiding genetically modified foods. I talk about that in my book, Detoxify Yourself. You can grab that from our website if you haven't got a chance to read that yet. We do 2 detoxes every year in September and January. You can join those online. All you have to do is grab a book, and those groups go amazing and people feel fantastic. But that's the very basis of paying attention to what you're putting in your body. And oils is super important because if you're putting rancid oils in your body, that's causing inflammation. That inflammation causes chronic pain. And how many people have chronic pain? Everyone has chronic pain because of the foods that we're putting in our body and because of our lack of mobility and our mindset and a number of other things. But everything for us is our belief that we believe food heals, food prevents, food cures, and you got to be paying attention to what you put in your body. So if you're putting a low quality vegetable oil like a canola oil in your body, you're causing inflammation, which is causing pain. And everybody has pain. So if we stopped putting these low quality oils in our body, that would help in a big way to reduce the pain in our lives. So that's one thing. That's the canola oil, genetically modified. Did you know that there was some staggering statistic that allergies increased by 6 times since and it was the year that they came out, that genetically modified foods came out. Allergies went through the roof. But not only that, like they're spraying and we're also ingesting these types of seeds. So if you're not familiar, genetically modified food is they take half a DNA strip from a gene, from a natural gene, and then they take the other half of the DNA and they basically breed them. And that's with usually like a Roundup type of product. And those seeds are often silver, if you could imagine, because they're coated, they're marinated or coated or sprayed with this coating that helps the seeds actually grow faster, which is why farmers and some industries appreciate them and enjoy them, because they grow faster, they grow cheaper, and you can spray them and the crops won't die, but the weeds will die. But we're consuming what they're spraying. And often, here's the kicker, is that Monsanto is the ones providing the seeds, and they're the ones that provide the Roundup that kills you know what I'm saying? It kills all the weeds, but it also is resistance to the seeds that they're creating. So the spray is toxic, the seed is toxic. It's one giant company that owns it. I may have to correct myself here. I believe that Bayer, you guys would know Bayer's that aspirin company that is even bigger than Monsanto, and Monsanto is huge. And I think Bayer went and bought Monsanto. It's crazy though. That's the thing, is like it's absolutely mind-boggling everything that happens behind the scenes. And if you don't know, you don't know. And if you're someone like myself that enjoys this research and finding out what's happening behind the scenes, then you're going to understand about that stuff. But a lot of people don't want to know. They don't want to believe it. They feel like someone like myself is telling them a lie only because they don't want to change their mindset that they've been something that they've been told their entire life. So it's a very slippery slope, and it's almost dangerous to talk about because people get so irate about it, and I'm okay with that. Like that doesn't bother me. All I'm saying is that if you're one of those angry people, you're probably not going to be listening to this show. You probably would have turned the show off by now. But what I'm saying here is that open your mindset just a little bit and understand that there could be happening things behind the scenes that are actually harmful to our health instead of beneficial. So I was talking about canola oil in particular, and I went down the rabbit hole of genetically modified foods. So, but then the other aspect here is that your oil should come in a dark bottle because the sunlight actually affects the properties in your oil. So in your grocery store, go down your aisle, you'll see all the vegetable oils in clear plastic containers. Now you could consider that those plastic containers, the plastic is leaching into your oil, which of course is a problem. And then you could also consider that sunlight is affecting the properties because it's not a dark bottled container. So those oils are rancid before you even bring them home, which is crazy to me. So we're actually purchasing rancid oil, putting it in our body, and not considering why we have leaky gut syndrome, or why we have digestive issues, or why our immune system is so weak, or why we have chronic pain. And it's all related to very specific things like oils. And then the next oil I wanted to mention, or I did mention earlier in the show, was the palm oil. I'm super against palm oil, and that's because I'm a super environmental fan. I love wildlife. I love our oceans. I love our beaches. And I know a lot of other people do, but few seem to care about our environment in particular. But what they do is when they go and mine the palm oil, but palm oil fruits, they smash all these trees down and they destroy the habitat for a lot of wildlife, which is super sad for me. I watched this video. They were crushing all these trees, and there was this orangutan that was like hitting the bulldozer. He's like, "You're destroying my home," and I was almost in tears over here because. That's an animal. It's a living being, breathing. It's a creature that has feelings and emotions, and we're just destroying their homes for this one ingredient. It just doesn't make sense to me. So that's number one. And the other reason is palm oil is highly processed, which causes inflammation in our body, which causes chronic pain. So you want to stay away from palm oil. On top of that, the last one I mentioned there was sunflower oil and safflower oil. You see these in packaged foods all the time. You see them in supplements, and people think they're okay. It's kind of like a hidden, it's a sunflower seed, and like what's safflower? It's pretty close to sunflower anyway, and there's probably nothing wrong with that because it has sun in it, and the sun's good for us. I feel like there's a misconception there when it comes to sunflower oil and then safflower oil as well. You want to stay away from these products as well. It's another vegetable oil. It's high in omega-6. Those omega-6 cause inflammation in our body, especially when we're out of balance. Most packaged foods are high in omega-6, and we want to be high in omega-3. So understand that when you're putting the safflower oil or the sunflower oil, you're increasing the omega-6 in your body, which is increasing the inflammation in our body, which is increasing the pain in our body. I really feel like, my gosh, you know what I would love to do? Maybe in the future when we have a bigger company, is that you have a specific test group, and you get 100 people, and you put them together, and they're all have chronic pain or digestive issues or sleep issues, and you get them all off these horrible different types of oils, and you just give them good quality oils. Just pump them full of good quality oils. I'll go through those in a second here, and see what happens. And I really believe that would make a huge difference in their life in many different ways of their health. But I don't know how to do those studies yet. But maybe I'll figure out in the future. But at any rate, so I threw this up on social media, and I had a bunch of people comment, and they say, well, do you have any research? Do you have any links? Do you have any information? Because I heard safflower oil in particular is okay. It's high in vitamin E. It has a high smoke point. And I said, okay, look, let's go through some of the people that I trust. Now, what I went and did is I pulled off Julie Daniluk. I went to her website, and I pulled off an excerpt from one of her blogs. And she says very clearly, you got to avoid these different specific vegetable oils, safflower oil being one of them, cottonseed oil. I mentioned them earlier, probably don't need to mention them again, but so we got to avoid those for sure. And then so Julie Daniluk actually came on my show here, Exploring Mind and Body, probably a couple times, and she's awesome. She's amazing. She's been in the industry for probably over 20 years, maybe 30 years. She does work on TV, like she does her own TV segment. She's got, I don't know if she has her own podcast. At any rate, she knows what she's doing. She's been in the industry for years, and she's had her own health issues, and which is why she cleaned up her diet, which across the board, pretty much everyone I interview has dealt with something, which is why they become an expert, because they taught themselves how to do this stuff. So you can go back and search Julie Daniluk if you like, or you can go to her own website. But she's definitely telling you what oils to avoid. Then I went to Dave Asprey. I like some of what he talks about. He's a keto guy. I'm not, but he's all about ingredients and research and different clean ingredients. Again, he said the exact same thing. I'd actually love to have him on my show. I know he has a podcast. He's a super big figure in the world, in the health world. And then we had very similar political views, which is odd. I feel like in most cases, people that live in the health world, that are experts and pay attention to ingredients and what happens to things that you put in your body, it was very similar to what we believe and what he believes. And most, like I said, most experts, a lot of them weren't very outspoken. He was, and that was a breath of fresh air, because you have like the WHO telling you one thing, and then you have, what do we have? Alberta. Oh, there's the Alberta Heart Association, who is recommending that these oils are nothing wrong with you, but we have an increase of cardiovascular disease, stroke. Now we're seeing more heart attacks, which of course stems from cardiovascular disease. And what was the other thing? At any rate, that's probably enough in that regard. Dave Asprey said the same thing: stay away from safflower oil. And then the last one, and these other canola oil, these other vegetable oils, palm oil, cottonseed oil. And then the last one I threw up there was the link I found on Dr. Lori Shemek. And Dr. Lori Shemek, she's amazing. She's a friend of ours. She's got an incredible book, How to Fight Fatflammation. And she talks about the exact same thing, avoiding safflower. So it's not like it was just my opinion, or I feel like if you're going to go do research, or if you're going to say something, you should have very clear evidence or very clear research backing what you're going to say. And I have no problem. Like, we have a good audience. Like, what can I say? A loyal audience that believes what I say. But you don't have to believe what I say. You should question everything. You should question what they say on the news. You should question what these big organizations say. You should question what your experts say and go find other research that either backs that up or doesn't. And then you have a different mindset or you have a different experience with your own body. But I interviewed Mark Sesson, who's also a big name, and I think he's a paleo guy, and that was years ago, but he's a big name, and Primal Blueprint is his big thing. And he said the same thing. He said, question everything you hear. And we got to be paying attention to what we're putting in our body. That's all there is to it. But if you go and do one Google search and you find one piece of information, that's what Google wants you to know. So you got to understand that. It's like these guys, like these billionaires, you know who I'm talking about. It's my show. I can say what I want. So you have someone like Bill Gates and he's buying up all the farmland for a reason. And then what he's doing is he's influencing the media. So he pays the media millions, if not billions of dollars, so they say what he wants them to say. Like, isn't that crazy? It's absolutely bizarre what's happening in the world today, but also what's happening with the false information that's being shared and the censorship. It's all bananas. So at any rate, you got to do your research. You got to find experts that you trust and believe in and are credible, and then you can go forward and be like, and say, here's the thing is that we design our own products. We design our own products. We work individually or specifically with manufacturers. We decide every single ingredient that goes in our products, and then we stand behind them, we back them, and we sell them, we promote them. So we have a few different stipulations before we design a product. One is that it's something that we're going to use ourselves. So I would never recommend anything I wouldn't use myself. And then we have number 2, is it something that we would recommend to friends and family? So those are that's important to me, and that's something I like to share because there's no one more important in our lives than friends or family besides ourselves. Of course, we have to take care of ourselves first, and then you have to take care of your friends and family. It all starts from within, and then you can work out. Like, you support your friends and family, you support your local communities, then you support the next city over, and then you support your state or province, and then you support your country. That's how it has to go for us to come back to center, which is the very root of that local support that we all need more than ever. So that's important for us to express, is that we would never get into a product that we wouldn't take ourselves or recommend to friends or family. And then the last one is important to us, is that there's a lack of education, because we love to educate. That's a passion of ours. There's a lack of education around the product. So those 3 stipulations before we get a new product. And I just put up another post on social media, and I was saying that, don't we have a responsibility? So I think it's fantastic. It's absolutely beautiful that anyone could kind of start their own home-based business, or I wouldn't exactly call it their own business, but I wouldn't say that. They can work from home, they can promote a product, they can reach their friends and family, they can grow, they can start making some supplemental income, or completely feed themselves or their family. Like, for us, we call it a brand partner program, where you would purchase our products at wholesale price and you would sell it at retail price. And then you have the ability to not just get a great deal on awesome products, but you also have the opportunity to make some money on the side, which I think is amazing. It's a growing passion of mine to be able to not just employ people, but get people to be able to feed themselves by selling our products. So, but here's the thing, is that I feel like if you're gonna go and start selling products, you should know what you're selling. Like, it's absolutely bonkers to me if I look at many of these multi-level companies and they're popping up all over now, and I start to read the ingredients and I'm like, whoa, you probably shouldn't be first of all, I'm like, you probably shouldn't be taking that. Then I think you probably wouldn't want to recommend that to anyone you love. And then you stand behind it. So I gotta believe, like, your own integrity is on the line anytime you have an own product. Anything you're promoting, anything you're speaking or selling or talking about, there's nothing stronger than, like, what's inside. Like, you got to be able to look in the mirror. And the thing is, I don't feel like a lot of people know they're selling a low quality product. They don't understand that they're promoting something that could cause harm. But that's also an issue. So I don't think there's any harm that they're trying to put on people, but that shouldn't remove accountability. Like, if you're going to sell a product, you should know exactly what's in that product. And that's just what I believe. And that's why I feel like we have some of the cleanest products around, because we know exactly what every single ingredient is in that product, and we believe in them, we stand by it, and we do tons and tons of research before we get into putting any type of ingredient in our products, and everyone should be doing that. So when it comes to the oils in particular, we got to know what we're putting in our body, and we have to do our proper research, and we have to even experiment and understand what's happening when we put these different types of things in our body. Now, I did want to mention the oils that you should be putting in your body. I feel like we ran out of time, but I suppose let me just throw them out here real quick. I would look at MCT oil. C8 MCT oil is my top pick of an oil by far. It processes differently in your body. It offers energy. It goes right to the brain, so it gives you brain power, mental clarity, cognitive function, and of course it can also help burn body fat. So C8 MCT oil, and because of those health properties, that's why we decided to carry our own MCT oil. It's not so if you go to Costco, or if you go to those cheaper type of like pharmacy, they'll have C10 and C12, like these different chains of MCT oil. They'll be much cheaper, and they won't even have any C8 in there. So C8 is caprylic acid. That's the MCT oil you're looking for. So that's important to understand that all MCT oil is not created equally. Many of them are cut, or they put other oils in there. Like you might have a C8 and a C10, or C8, C10 and 12. C8 is the most beneficial. It's also the most expensive, so they want to lower the price, and then they play on education, and they don't educate at all. They're actually hoping people don't know the difference when it comes to proper MCT oils, so they put those other products in there. They can get them for cheaper. They can sell them for more and hope people don't know the difference. So we got that going on. And then, so that's why we decided to carry our own 100% C8 pure MCT oil. That comes directly from Sri Lanka. Well, obviously we like to support local as much as possible, but obviously up here in Canada, we don't have coconuts. So we got to outsource, and we've been to Sri Lanka. We have friend like family in Sri Lanka, so we're more than happy to support them. So that's the number one. Number two, I would go to coconut oil, which is different than MCT oil. MCT oil is more like the extract of specific chains, but you need I believe it's lauric acid from the coconut. So there are different properties in the coconut that you need that are different from the MCT oil. MCT or coconut oil has a really high smoke point. MCT oil doesn't. MCT oil you want to put on salads after stir fry, for example. You don't really want to cook with it at high temperatures. So that's why number two is my coconut oil, extra virgin coconut oil, organic as well if possible. And then my third one would be a good quality olive oil. The problem with olive oil is that it's I think olive oil maybe sugar or flour, but I think oil was the oldest traded commodity. At any rate, you have to look at olive oil, and because it's been around for so long, we have people that do their thing and they always try to ruin stuff. So they started cutting olive oil with these cheap oils I talked about earlier in the show. So if you have like your grocery store name brand, it's probably not 100% pure olive oil. The cheap companies that pop up at Costco is an easy one to pick on because they're so big they can grab the cheapest whatever, put their own name brand on it and sell it for what they want, usually cheaper. So if you're paying a very low price for your olive oil, it's likely not olive oil. In fact, I believe you only need 3 to 4% of your product to be olive oil, to put the label, to put olive oil on the label. So it could be 4% olive oil, and then the rest a combination of rancid vegetable oils, and then you're good to go. You're off and running. So olive oil is there for sure on my list so if I pick MCT oil is number 1A, coconut oil is number 1B, then I would go to olive oil, but a high quality one, which is much more expensive than those cheap rancid ones that also come in clear bottles. And then I would go with avocado oil. I'm a little bit worried about avocado oil, to be honest with you. I feel like that's hitting more mainstream. It feels like when everyone starts to sell stuff like collagen, then the quality of it drops down quite a bit. So I know there's the specific brands of avocado oil where you can actually track where the avocados are coming from, but there are companies that are coming out with, because the avocados spoil, what they do is they'll take these expired avocados from all over. They'll get a bunch of different sources and they'll press them and they'll turn them into avocado oil, but I feel like they're already expired. I know there's some. This is newer, I should mention, because olive oil has been around for a little bit. It's becoming more popular, so people are doing things to save money and to get their margins higher. So it's becoming a bit shady. But olive oil is definitely on my list of quality oils that you you could consume and you should consume. So at any rate, I hope that helps you understand more about healthy fats, the oils that you should be avoiding, and then here at the end, oils that you may want to consume or should be consuming.
Trueform Life.
Thank you so much for joining me on Exploring Mind and Body. You can follow us all over social media. I mentioned those earlier in the show. And your support here and your downloads and listens, whether you're listening, if you're listening as a podcast, if you're listening on radio, every once in a while we get an email from someone that's heard our show and appreciates our show. And they said, oh, I just heard you on this radio station. That always brightens our day. So if you get a chance, shoot us a message and let us know how you've been enjoying the show. That's it. That's all I got. I'm out of here. As always, I'm your host, Drew Tadia, in health and fitness for a better world. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to Exploring Mind and Body with Trueform Life's Drew Tadia, fitness expert. To find out more about the show, Drew Tadia, or to listen to past shows, visit exploringmindandbody.com.